Today, we embark on an adventure through ancient Egypt to meet one of the most impactful characters in the Bible, Moses. In the desert, far from the bustling cities of Egypt, Moses lived a peaceful life. He had once walked through the grand halls of Pharaoh's palace, enjoying the luxuries of royalty, but everything changed when he fled Egypt after killing an Egyptian overseer. No longer a prince, Moses became a simple shepherd, tending his flock in the desert. Years later, Moses witnessed something extraordinary. A bush that was on fire but not consumed by the flames. It was a sign from a higher power, commanding him to return to Egypt and demand the freedom of the Israelites. Despite his doubts, Moses, with his brother Aaron by his side, set out on a journey back to the land of his birth. Upon returning to Egypt, Moses stood before the mighty Pharaoh, a ruler known for his harsh control over the land. Despite the Pharaoh's intimidating presence, Moses delivered a message from God: "Let my people go." Pharaoh ignored Moses' demand and made the lives of the Israelite slaves even harsher. But Moses was ready to show Pharaoh the consequences of his stubbornness. At Moses' command, the first of many plagues struck Egypt. Aaron, Moses' brother, stretched his staff over the Nile, and the water turned to blood. The river, which had once been Egypt's source of life, became a source of death. Fish died, and a terrible stench filled the air. The blood didn't stay confined to the Nile. It spread through irrigation channels, seeping into the water systems that supplied Egyptian homes. Whether in grand palaces or humble homes, people found their basins, fountains, and water jars filled with blood. Pharaoh's stubbornness unleashed a cascade of disasters. One morning, the Egyptians awoke to find their land overrun with frogs. These creatures were everywhere, in homes, kitchens, and even Pharaoh's bedroom. They jumped into cooking pots and hid under pillows, croaking relentlessly. As soon as the frogs disappeared, the air filled with a cloud of gnats. These tiny insects bit the skin of people and animals, causing intense irritation and suffering. Then came swarms of flies, so dense they darkened the sky. These were no ordinary flies. They bit and spread disease, making the very air dangerous to breathe. They invaded homes and covered everything. Afterward, a plague struck Egypt's wealth directly: the livestock. The fields, once filled with healthy cattle, turned into silent graveyards as disease wiped out the animals. However, the Israelites' livestock was untouched, showing clear divine protection. Despite the economic ruin, Pharaoh's heart remained hardened. Then came an unexpected plague: boils. Painful, oozing sores appeared on the skin of every Egyptian, from the richest nobles to the humblest servants. Even Pharaoh himself wasn't spared. The land was filled with cries of pain, but still, Pharaoh refused to relent. Next, the sky darkened as a massive hailstorm hit Egypt. This was no ordinary storm. The hailstones were enormous, smashing crops, destroying homes, and killing anyone caught outside. Lightning flashed across the sky, setting fire to the remaining fields. Egypt, once full of life and abundance, now looked like a war-torn wasteland. Then, from the ruined skies came the eighth plague: locusts. These ravenous insects swarmed over the land, devouring everything left after the hail. The penultimate plague was darkness, but not just any darkness. It was a thick, impenetrable gloom that covered Egypt for 3 days. It was as if the sun had vanished completely. The Egyptians couldn't see their own hands in front of their faces, and fear spread throughout the land. All they could do was sit in the darkness, anxiously waiting for the sun to return. Finally, after all the suffering, the last and most devastating plague arrived: the death of the firstborn. That night, a shadow passed over Egypt, and in every home where the blood of a lamb had not been smeared on the doorposts, the firstborn child and the firstborn of every animal died. The air was filled with cries of grief, as even Pharaoh lost his own son. This was the breaking point. Broken and defeated, Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron in the middle of the night and ordered them to take the Israelites and leave Egypt immediately. After centuries of slavery, the Israelites were finally free. As they marched out of Egypt, the memory of the plagues remained a powerful reminder of the force that had delivered them, and a warning to anyone who might dare to challenge their freedom.